All I know about this item is that it was made in England in the 1900s and is battery operated. It resembles a railway lamp, but its exact purpose is unclear. The current owner, who collects antiques, does not know what it is either. Any ideas what this could be? These are carbide lamps, which were used as bicycle and mining lamps that burned acetylene gas. A carbide lamp works by combining calcium carbide with water to produce acetylene gas, which is then ignited to create light. These lamps were once widely used for building illumination, lighthouse beacons, motor car and bicycle headlights, and portable lighting for miners, cavers, hunters, and cataphiles. To operate, carbide lumps were placed in the bottom chamber, while water dripped from the top chamber, producing acetylene gas, which was then lit to create a bright flame. The first carbide bicycle lamp in the United States was patented by Frederick Baldwin on August 28, 1900, followed by other designs, including a 1902 patent from Duluth, Minnesota. In the early 1900s, Gustav Dalin invented the Dalin light, incorporating his innovations such as the sun valve and Agamasson substrate, leading to further advancements in carbide lamp technology. However, carbide lamps declined in U.S. Coal mines, after their open flames, were linked to the 1932 Mowiaqua coal mine disaster, a methane explosion in Illinois that killed 54 miners. Despite this, they continued to be used in other countries, notably in the Soviet Union's coal industry. This is a family photograph taken sometime between 1846 and 1900. The image shows my great-great-great-great-grandparents holding something in their hands, but I'm not sure what it is or why they are holding it. The photograph has the typical look of early photography from that era, possibly a daguerreotype or tintype. People in old photographs often held meaningful objects, books, tools, or personal belongings. But I can't quite figure out what these are. The items seem important enough to be included in the portrait, so I'd love to know their significance. Does anyone have an idea what they might be holding and why? I zoomed and sharpened a bit. They're definitely likenesses of people. Perhaps memento mori. In other words, it was common to include relatives who had passed on or were absent in family portraits. Sometimes they'd even pose with the body of the dead relative. I'm thinking they're holding photos or small paintings, drawings of dead family members. Just an educated guess, of course. It's a bit creepy, but here's some examples of people posing for family photos with dead family members. It was actually pretty common back then. These Victorian children look miserable as they stare sternly at the camera. But their grim expressions may be understandable after it becomes clear they are posing for a macabre photo with their dead younger sibling who is laid out on a chair. These remarkable pictures show the morbid way that the deceased were remembered in the late 19th century. This item was found in an early 1900s logging camp. It is made of a lightweight metal that does not rust, though it does show some oxidation. Despite being metal, it feels quite flimsy and could easily break. The object is small, measuring about 2.5 inches in length, and has 3 crescent-shaped pieces that rotate around a central point. The only visible marking on it reads, Pete Hat D. Deck 1900. It was dug up from underground at a site where antique bottles, axe heads, wedges, and pulleys have previously been found. Given the history of the site, most items tend to be tool-related, though there is also the possibility of it being related to horses or oxen. Any idea what this could be? These are suspenders, designed to improve comfort, durability, and flexibility in wear. A key feature of this design is the cord guide support, which prevents rubbing against the wearer's body or clothing. In traditional suspenders, where a cord guide moves with the body, constant friction can cause discomfort and even damage garments over time. This design eliminates that issue, ensuring a smoother wearing experience. In ordinary suspenders, the shoulder straps cross and connect at the back, creating a rigid and unyielding structure. When one shoulder is raised, the strain is unevenly distributed. One strap tightens while the other becomes loose. This imbalance reduces the lifespan of the suspenders. This improved design introduces a flexible connection between the shoulder straps and back piece, allowing the suspenders to automatically adjust to body movements while evenly distributing strain. As a result, they provide greater comfort, durability, and adaptability for the wearer. This metal object, likely purchased between 1920 to 1940, has an unknown origin, but belonged to a Spanish traveler who owned a shipping company and frequently visited different countries. The object is non-magnetic, weighs over 3 pounds, and has a hollow core running from the tip to the base. There are 2 small holes on the sides, allowing air to escape when blown into. When scraped, the inside walls produce a dark, ashy substance. The base features a crest, though the object won't stand upright on its own and doesn't seem to have a specific resting orientation. A hole at the base appears to be from damage, with a small crack leading to it. Another hole, about 4 inches from the tip, is located behind what appears to be the dragon's head. When held, this hole aligns naturally with where a thumb would rest, suggesting a possible functional use. The tip resembles a dragon's head, and the surface depicts multiple animals attacking each other, adding to its intricate and possibly symbolic design. Given the hollow structure, air holes, and ashy residue, it could be ceremonial, decorative, or possibly a type of smoking or blowing instrument. Does anyone recognize this object or know what it might have been used for? This appears to be a very ornate powder horn. There is no scorching or damage that one might expect if it had been used for emitting fire. Its conical shape aligns with many powder horn designs. The through hole near the spout could have been used to hold a strap or a cap. The hole at the base does look like damage. The likely non-reactivity of the powder is due to age, caused by both chemical degradation and exposure to varying humidity levels, especially since the end is open. This small rubber ball, about 1 inch in diameter, is mounted in a way that allows it to swing outward, about 1 inch, to the right and up, about 3 inches, but not to the left. It was found in a house from the 1940s. Initially, it seemed like a doorstop, but there are no doors nearby. No cabinets open toward that spot. It is attached to an original pocket door, which means there was never anything that would have needed stopping. It's too loose to function as a grip or latch for holding anything in place. Given its movement and placement, it might have been part of an old mechanical system, a buffer for sliding components, or even a leftover fixture from a previous modification to the house. Does anyone know what this could have been used for? This is a vintage rubber ball door check. It's specifically designed to prevent a screen door from slamming closed, rather than stopping it from being slammed open. Screen doors are often spring-hinged, which can cause them to slam shut unless something like this is in place to absorb the impact. Newer screen doors now use pneumatic closers, which slow the door's movement just before it fully closes. So while this isn't exactly a doorstop, it serves an important function in controlling the door's movement. This lightweight metal object was found among an old woman's belongings. She was from Brazil and possibly received it as a wedding gift, likely dating back to the 1940s. The top part is detachable and appears to swing, suggesting it might have been designed for movement or adjustment. Given the age, material, and function, it could be a decorative or practical household item, perhaps related to serving food, drink, or storage. Any idea what this might be used for? This is a tea strainer designed for loose tea. After the tea has been steeped in a teapot, this strainer is placed over the teacup while pouring, ensuring that tea leaves are filtered out. It's important to distinguish between a tea infuser and a tea strainer. An infuser holds the tea leaves during the steeping process, while a strainer is used after the tea has brewed to remove any loose leaves. This piece is definitely a strainer, not an infuser. This large wooden and plastic tool belonged to an old man born in the 1930s. It features a sliding centerpiece with 2 metal markers and has various tables of numbers written all over it. It came in a wooden box and seems to have a possible engineering connection. The current theory is that it's a calculator that works in imperial units. A search for the company name on the label led to W.F. Stanley and Company Limited, a firm based in London that primarily produced drawing and mathematical instruments. Their locations included GT Turnstile, 286 High Holborn, 70 to 80 High Holborn, and New Eltham, SE9. Does anyone recognize this tool or know more about its exact purpose? This is a cylindrical slide rule known as the Fuller's Spiral Slide Rule. It features a helical main scale that wraps 50 times around the cylinder, effectively creating an instrument with the precision of a 1,000-inch-long traditional slide rule. Like other slide rules, the Fuller is designed for multiplication and division, with additional scales for trigonometric and exponential functions. At the time, most mechanical calculators were limited to addition and subtraction, with only advanced models like the arithmometer capable of multiplication and division. Even those could not perform trigonometry or exponentiation, and were significantly larger, heavier, and more expensive than the Fuller. By the mid-20th century, devices like the Curta mechanical calculator offered competition in terms of size and affordability. However, the Fuller remained in use for scientific calculations until it was finally made obsolete in 1973, with the introduction of the HP 35 handheld scientific calculator. This metal kitchen implement, measuring 6 inches by 6 inches, features a bone handle and was found on a stove in a home from the early 1900s in the U.S. The underside is blackened, suggesting frequent exposure to heat. Does anyone know exactly what this is and how it was used? This is a bacon grill. The bacon is placed under the lid, which presses it down as it cooks. This helps ensure even cooking and crispiness. As the bacon cooks, the grease drains into the channel on the outside, keeping it separate from the meat. This design allows for less greasy, crispier bacon, making it a practical tool for those who prefer a cleaner and more controlled cooking process. This black box of electrical components is located near the top of a church bell tower in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The apparent date on some parts places it in the 1930s, about 25 years after the church was built. The chamber below contains a pipe organ, while a rope-pulled bell is positioned above. The box has a 2-prong male outlet and an on-off switch on the exterior, but no other visible controls when the lid is closed. The only way to access this crawl space is by climbing 2 cramped ladders among the organ pipes, indicating that this was likely a turn-it-on and leave-it-on piece of equipment. Does anyone know what this device was used for? This is a DC power supply with a power transformer on the left, 2 rectifier tubes in the middle, black square capacitors, and 2 power resistors. If the bells were remotely operated, this could have been used to power electromagnetic bell strikers. If it simply outputs DC, then the electronic striker could have been something as simple as a DC motor with a crank attached to a rope that pulled the bell's clapper. Flip a switch, and the motor moves the rope, making the bell ring. The power supply appears to be a DIY build, possibly created as a church improvement project by a congregant. However, it may not have worked very well. By that time, purpose-built electric bell ringers had already been available for about a decade, so someone might have been trying to replicate the concept with their own homemade version. Given how inaccessible this power supply appears to be, it likely had a remote switch elsewhere, rather than one directly on the box. This piece of metal was found in New Brunswick, Canada, at the site of an old farm that existed between the late 1800s and early 1900s. The area was once home to a barn, but today only its stone foundation remains, with no walls or wooden structures left standing. The object itself is approximately 10 inches long and fairly heavy for its size. It has a row of teeth or a gear-like structure at the bottom. The letter R is engraved on one side, but no other identifiable markings can be seen. Additionally, there are bolts still attached at the top, leading to the possibility that it was once secured to a wooden component that has since decayed over time. A total of 8 identical pieces were discovered in the same area using a metal detector. Does anyone know what these objects were used for? This is used for depth adjustment on an old wooden frame plow or planter. Given its sturdy construction, it is more likely from a plow, which requires a stronger and more robust mechanism to handle the force of cutting through soil.